بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I think the point I would like to share with everyone here regarding the festivals in Islam may be a little different than what we were just hearing about up to now. And that is, the main difference comes from the only two celebrations and festivals that we have in Islam. They are called Eid. And these 2 days are not associated with any of the historical event that took place in the past. They have no association with that. They have no association with a person. And this is very important for us as Muslims to know and understand at our celebrations that these two celebrations, they are not associated with historical event. Otherwise, if it was connected to one of the historical events, we know that there are always people that benefit from things that happen in the world, and people will always lose something at different events. Some people are benefiting from something, some people are being harmed from the very same situation. It snows out. Most of the people don't like it. The people who are in the business of snow plowing, they love it. So, it's not connected to any of the historical events of the past. And at the same time, Islamic celebration is not connected to a person. Which means, it's nothing that Muhammad, peace be upon him, did on that day, and we say, oh, because that day something showed his greatness, or he showed a special miracle, or he did something special. If that was the case, people would have said, a person that was born in Arabia, it was something affiliated with that person, so it's an Arabian festival. If we connect that to any other prophet, take the same example as you were just hearing, Jesus. People will say a Palestinian event. That a person that was born in Palestine, Jesus, and some people are happy about that event and they celebrate that for the rest of their lives. So it will be connected to a country, to a person, and to some type of people that not every person will be looking forward to it, especially when you look at the real theme of a celebration. Then when it's connected to a person, it's connected to historical event, it changes the effect of it than having it connected to a religious service. And where does this celebration comes from? The Islamic celebration, as I said, there are two. And both of them are called Eid. The word Eid in Arabic language are driven from the root word Ada Ya'udu, which means for something to come over and over. And the word itself refers to, when you say this is Eid, means may God always bring a joy and a happy in your life. Which means may this day repeatedly keep on coming into your life when you always be happy and have a joy. So this is the first thing that the name stands for, the word Eid, which means something that should repeatedly come into our life. And in other words, you can say that it's a goodwill, it's a good prayer for each other when we use the word Eid for the celebration. And both of these two celebrations, Eid, they are connected to a worship. We have a worship for the month called month of Ramadan. The main worship of the month is fasting. At the end of the month, when the month is over, the day after the month is over is the day of Eid, and this is called Eid al-Fitr. The word Eid al-Fitr means the celebration of the day of breaking the fast. The other festival comes on the 10th of another month, Islamic month, because we go by lunar calendar. And that is on the day when all of us are supposed to offer a sacrifice for the sake of God. Looking at both of these events now, you can see that both of them are connected to a special religious service. When we offer a service to God, a special worship to God, both of these worships are performed together, which means it's not a service that we will go in our own mosque and I'm doing it at my home, or you can do it in your mosque or in your place of worship. These are collective annual worships that are repeated 2 times a year. So both of them are collective worships and repeated each year. Each of them are repeated in every year. So annually performed worship that is performed collectively. Why there is a celebration at the end of these? The month of Ramadan, as I said, is a month when we fast. Both of these celebrations, they remind us of very important things. One is our connection with God, and that is through the worship. And the other part of it, when you look at both of these worships, you will realize that both of them really remind us of situation of others in the world. For example, fasting. Fasting, when a person will not eat the whole day, will remember those who do not have food. Will remember those who have to go through the same situation throughout the year. I have to keep away from fasting only for 1 month. And there are people who are not able to have any food they may be fasting for the whole life. Every day of their life is a day when they fast, which means they get to eat only once a day. They can't afford to have more than this. During fasting, we are not even allowed to take medicine. This reminds us of those who are in a situation where they are in need of medical assistance, but they are not able to have any. Either because they can't afford it, or there are sanctions and they cannot find medicine in their countries. Whatever the reason may be, there are people in the world that are not able to afford these things. Through this worship, as we are showing our commitment to God, that we are willing to give up the food for a day for God, at the same time we are reminding ourselves, and God reminding us through this worship, that there are so many people in the world who are in that type of situation, and they may be in that situation throughout the year. Take care of those people, remember those people, and fulfill the needs of those people. And this is why, on that day of the celebration, which is called Eid al-Fitr, it is required that each and every person, and in fact, a person that's in charge of a family on behalf of their children, they must pay some charity before they go for the prayer. Before the prayer starts, each and every person is supposed to pay some type of charity towards the poor people. And this is a charity, remember. Normally when we use the word charity, it's a very broad meaning to it. But when I'm using the word charity in this sense, from the Islamic point of view, it cannot go to a church. It cannot go to a place of worship. It cannot go to any building, to constructions. It only would go to people who are in need of any type of food or any type of medical assistance. These type of needs, which means you have to hand it to a person in her hand, so that these people are able to fulfill their needs. So on that day, for Muslims, every Muslim is a giver of a charity, except for those who cannot afford it, they will be receiving it. And without it, if you don't pay the charity, you are neglecting one of the orders that you are supposed to fulfill on that day, which is called the day of Eid. So we see that after fasting, now the requirement comes, go for a prayer. On both of these days of celebration, we have a special prayer. So before you go to the prayer, you must offer this charity to the needy people, which is of course a continuation lesson from the fasting. You fasted, you reminded yourself of those people. Now go ahead and practice it and give that charity before you go and offer the prayer, which is called the prayer of that festival of that day of Eid. The second festival, which is Eid of Adha. Eid al-Adha means the celebration of the day of sacrifice. By offering that sacrifice, we show our commitment to God, that we are willing to sacrifice anything for the sake of God. God is above anything and everything. Which is, of course, a message that people of every religion hold it, that God is above anything and everything, and His commandments are above anyone's else. Therefore, through this sacrifice, we show that our commitment is there, and we are willing to fulfill the orders of God and follow the religion that was sent by God through His messengers. But at the same time, when we say offering a sacrifice, doesn't mean that we can just give something as a charity. Offering a sacrifice on that day, it only refers to offering some type of animal that are prescribed in the books, that these are the kind of animals that you are allowed to sacrifice, offer as a sacrifice, normally a lamb or a cow. When a person offers this sacrifice, the recommendation is that divide the meat of this animal into 3 portions. 1 portion is for your family, for yourself and your family, so that you enjoy the day, and at the same time, when you are having that special meat on the day, it's a reminder to ourselves that I have offered this sacrifice to God, which means I have made this commitment to God once again that your orders are above any order and above anything else in the world. The second thing is, the second part will be to the relatives and neighbors, so that even those people will share the happiness with us, and we all, which means all the people are giving it out to the relatives that are around them, they're giving it out, they're sharing it with their neighbors, reminding each other of our commitment to God. Number 3, the third portion is assigned to the people who are not able to offer the sacrifice. So even those people on that day will have that meat to eat, a meat that was offered as a sacrifice, so they are not without it, and God is blessing them, even though they are not able to afford, they can't afford to pay something or offer a sacrifice, they are getting the meat of the sacrifice as a gift on behalf of the God. So each and every person on that day, either he's offering a sacrifice or he's taking something from the sacrifice, and both of them are receiving that commitment, and both of them are receiving that gift of God. So we can see here that both of the Islamic celebrations, which means they are called Eid, and both of them are very closely connected to 2 things. Number 1, to the rights of God, our commitment to God, to the worship. And number 2, to the rights of people. And these connections are not the connections that we are trying to join things. Okay, this reminds us of this and this reminds us of that. It's not these things. These connections are such that these are the basis of these 2 festivals. This is why one festival is called Eid al-Fitr, the celebration of breaking the fast. And as I said, requirement is that you must give some charity to the needy people who are not able to offer any charity on that day. And the other one is called Eid al-Adha, which means the festival of offering the sacrifice. And again, a reminder that you offer the sacrifice for the sake of God, reminding you of your commitment to God. At the same time, what are you going to do with the meat of the animal that you have offered as a sacrifice? Of course, it's going to help others. So both of these festivals are very closely connected to these 2 things. The rights of God, our commitment to God, at the same time helping the needies and helping the ones that are not able to offer these offerings for the sake of God. May God bless all of us. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله. Thank you very much.